Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Let's see what we can get ourselves into today. There we go. I think I might put the battery on the charger. She's been sitting around for a few days. She don't get driven or anything. That battery's starting to sound a little bit weak, so maybe we should stick it on the charger. But for now, let's just get her up in the shop. Hit the old push button. There's reverse. Alright, so just like that, we are back in here ready to go to work. Now, when I left you guys last, we finished up the big old dent on the deck lid. It's looking nice. And we cut open our rust panel. What was supposed to be the easy side, it just had a little tiny bit of surface rust is what it looked like. And it turned out to actually be rotted through. So we got to wait on some materials. We ordered some stuff from Eastwood, some rust inhibitors, some converter, cavity wax, all that good stuff. So we just got to wait on that to get here. It's not going to be here for a few days. So I thought maybe now we could get in here and work on the other side. I'm dying to get in there and see what's going on with that. As you can see, this side was way worse. So I'm expecting there to be some inner panel damage, so we need to get that opened up and see what we're working with. So let's go ahead and just get started on it. I'm gonna go ahead and get this side of the car raised up. When I check with you guys next, we'll be ready to cut that out. All right, so we got it jacked up in the air. I got my die grinder out here. This is made by Cornwell right there. Here's the part number. You guys want to Google that and order you one, go for it, man. This is unsponsored, but I've had this thing for like 10 years. I love this thing. What makes this special is that you can actually reverse the settings. So you could throw your sparks one way or the other. All I gotta do is flip the switch and I'll throw the sparks the other way. It comes in super handy when you're in tight spaces and you're under a car or whatever and you're throwing the sparks right at your face, which is never good, right? Switch the direction with this one, really cool. I'm just gonna get in here. I'm gonna go just above the repair area. We're gonna kind of sneak up on it. If we have to cut out more, we will. But I think just outside of this repair area, hopefully will get us back into the good. So let's try it. All right, so there you have it. Let's see what we're dealing with. Hopefully we got this cut out enough to break it loose. There we go. Oh, yeah, there you have it. All right, so it looks like we got some seam seal or something going on right here. Let's see if we can break that loose. There we go. It's coming loose now. Yeah. All right, so there goes that. Get that out of the way. All right, so we've definitely got some rot. I mean, look at this inside of here. Oh man, look at that, you guys. That's what we didn't want to see, but you know, we expected it. We knew that was coming. All right, so I'm gonna kind of clean that out with the air gun. You can kind of see what we're working with already. I mean, that's just what fell out of it. So let's see if we can kind of clean that out. I might be better off to use a air hose. All right, vacuum cleaner, I mean. Oh yeah. Clean it up a little bit with a wire brush, and then we'll get in there with all of our rust inhibitors and see if we can't convert that over to good metal. All you got to do is brush it on there. Eastwood makes some really good products for that. And we can get that all, you know, straightened out. Because I mean, this we'll have to cut out and we'll have to weld in a little patch right here, okay? But we could get up inside of there, which would be nice with some of our cavity waxes, you know, rust converters and things like that. Just really convert that area, save it, lock that rust in, seal it, you know, stop it dead in its tracks so it won't progress any further. And then of course we'll start making our repairs after that. But man, I was dying to get in there and see exactly what we're working with, you know, and we pretty much expected that, so it's not a big deal. All right, so like I mentioned before, we're kind of waiting on our chemicals to come in the mail. We got some nice stuff from Eastwood coming in, so we're kind of held up there, but at least we know what we're working with. I thought since we kind of got screwed over on our video footage of the deck lid repair, maybe we can move on to another dent. Maybe I'll just take you guys through that process instead, since you know you kind of got cheated out of a pretty good little video there. So I'm gonna put together another video, and this time we're not gonna have no issues, I promise you. So anyway, here we go. This door, I mean, we're not going to be able to, we can't send it to the paint shop like that. And I know it's minor, it's nothing major, but it's got to go. I mean, it's right up here where everybody's going to see it. So let's get in there and fix that right quick. This will be a nice little beginner style repair for all you newbies out there that are trying to, you know, get into body work. Maybe you want to fix some things on your own personal vehicle and you just want to try your hand at it. Well, this is the perfect way to start. We've got a low spot here, a little eyebrow there. A lot of times when the metal goes in, it'll push up around the surrounding area. So the idea is we got to pull this back out while knocking that down at the same time. And then of course, I mean, this will take minimal filler at best. I mean, we might could just get away with a light skim coat of glaze on that. It's so small. But anyway, let's knock that out right quick and move on to something else. So my little angle grinder here works very well. It's got these little discs. This is a 24 grit disc here, and it simply just twists right on there. I mean, it's so simple. It doesn't get any easier than that. So ordinarily, I would use this stud gun here, and the way this works is you just take a stud like so, stick it right in the end there, and go weld it to the surface, and then you've got yourself a little pulling tab. And the way this works is you just literally stick it right to the surface, push down, pull the trigger, and it will literally weld the stud right to the surface. But unfortunately, we've got an issue with our stud gun, so we got to get a little creative on this one. All right, sometimes you got to get a little creative. The way we're going to do this, I'm just going to take my stud, and I'm just going to weld it with my little Eastwood welder right to the surface, and that'll give us a little pulling tab. All right, so really all we're going to need for this is my dent puller here and just a basic body hammer. This ought to come right out real easy. Just going to clamp this right to my stud. It's got a pair of vice grips on the end of it here. Grab a hold of it. Just give it a slight little, just a little tap outward. While we're doing that, I'm going to come in, I'm going to tap on that eyebrow we talked about a minute ago. Let's see what that feels like. All right, I went ahead and threw me up a little blanket there when I was welding. Didn't want sparks flying in the window. So at this point, that's starting to feel really nice. That eyebrow has come down. Now when you're filling your dents, you want, or bodywork or anything, use the flat part of your hand. You want to feel it like this. You don't want to be doing any of this stuff. The tips of your fingers are no good. You got to use your hand when you're doing this, and I can still feel a little bit of a high spot in that area, so let's pull out just a little bit more on that and then tap down in this area a little bit more at the same time. Just basically a repeat of what we just now did. All right, guys, apologize, I had to turn the fan on. Everybody keeps saying this old paint's got lead in it, so just as a precaution, I just kind of turn the fan on and let everything just blow away from me. So we've got our new tab put on, our pull stud is actually what it would be the correct term for it. We're gonna pop that out. I wanted to show you guys another tool. This here's called a spoon. You know, you noticed I was using a hammer a minute ago. Well, you want to be careful. You don't want to be knocking hammer marks into this, right? All right, as ugly as that looks, that feels really, really nice. I don't feel the eyebrow at all. Okay, so now that I got the metal feeling pretty nice, we're just going to put a skim coat of filler over that. But first I want to 80 grit all around the repair area. The way I'm going to do that, we're going to take my DA and we're going to take a piece 80 grit paper. We're going to throw it on there just like so. We're just going to go around the area. We're going to kind of feather back this here, okay, around this edge, all those grinding marks. Well, you could feel that really, really bad. So we want to feather out the repair area, make that all nice and smooth, where it's got a nice smooth transition. All right, so here's the glaze we're going to use. Like I said before, that dent is so minor, and we pulled, you know, pretty much all of it back out. So all it's going to need is a skim coat. This stuff right here works very well. I get this at O'Reilly's, man. This whole tube, I don't know, 25 bucks maybe, something like that. Let's get a little bit out on our paper. All right, here's the hardener. This is the blue hardener. They've got red, they've got white. It doesn't really matter, I don't guess. Make sure that you kind of mix this around like so. You want to mix this all up inside of the tube really well, because this stuff doesn't have to sit long at all. I mean, in like hours, it'll start separating inside. So make sure you do this, or otherwise when you go to squirt it out, you're going to squirt out just a bunch of liquid. You're not even going to squirt out the actual hardener. So it'll be kind of a waste. So this isn't going to take much. I mean, a tiny amount. All right, let's mix this in. The way I like to mix my mud is I just kind of gather it up, squish it back out, keep it flat, spread it, okay? Every once in a while, go gather it all back up, and just keep doing that. Don't stir, don't chop. All of that puts air into it. You don't want that, so you just want to keep squishing it out, okay? Gather it up, squish it out. Keep doing that. You want to wipe your spreader down on your board, keeping your spreader clean. That means that everything is on the board being mixed up. Nothing's being left behind on the spreader. You don't want that. So here we go. Let's get it on the car. Like so. I'm going to put just a little bit of protective tape around this handle here. I just don't want to be bumping into it with my sanding block here in a minute. Alright, so I think the mud is ready. What I've got here is some 80 grit on my block. I don't let my mud get completely hard. I hate working overly hardened filler. I think it's silly to let your mud get hard. All it does is wear out your sandpaper and take longer to sand. So I'm going to work this with in our crosshatch pattern, just like always. You'll notice I'm going this way, right, and then this way. We're just getting that to start to feather out. You see this? Look at this. See how that's starting to feather out around the edge? That's what we're wanting right there. See there, you can still see an edge. Over here, you can still see the edge. But we're starting to feather out right here, and that's what we want it to look like all the way around. So we'll keep working this. This could be worked down in just a couple of minutes. And sometimes you may have to go back and re-wipe it again if you don't get it on the first one. This seems to be feathering out pretty good though. We're feathering out really, really nicely all through here, pretty much all the way around. But down here, look, we still got an edge. So it's telling me that that's still a little bit low in this area. Like maybe we should have brought our filler down just a little bit more I'm gonna sand on it just a little more, see if it starts to feather. I don't think it's going to. No, I don't think it's going to. I might as well just go ahead and stop now and re-wipe the area. I think that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So what I'll do in this area is I'll blow this off with some compressed air, and then we'll re-wipe it again. This time when I wipe it, I'm gonna come out a little further, and we're definitely gonna make sure we come down, get this area this time like we should have done the first time. That's how it goes sometimes, not a big deal. And then we'll come back, sand it again, and we'll definitely have it dialed in by then. All right, so I switched to a longer block, this time 120 grit. I've wiped my surface just a little further out this time, super thin, you can practically see right through it. We're just gonna go over this with our 120. All right, so there you have it. We're gonna come in, we're gonna kind of feather out a little further away. Kind of get out here with some 320 grit maybe. And because see, you could kind of feel that right there. So we wanna get in here and smooth all this out, because the bodywork feels great. Here I am touching with my bare hands again, good Lord. So anyway, this feels really good. We're gonna feather out around the edge and we're gonna clean the crap out of it before we hit it with the primer. Alrighty, so I've got my DA here, and I know I told you 320, but I decided to go ahead and do 220 because this is really rough. I mean, look at that. I think the 220 will be just aggressive enough to knock a lot of that down, kind of smooth out some of those imperfections, and blend everything together. That old paint is just in terrible shape. You can see there where it tries to kind of flake off as you're sanding it. It's not good. Notice I'm holding my sander flat. I'm not tipping it up. I'm not trying to get in there and do any of this kind of stuff here. Holding it flat and just letting it feather back all those bad spots. Alright, so as nice as that tape is, nothing beats having the obstacle out of your way. So I'm going to go ahead and get inside of here and pull the bolts loose that holds that handle in, and see if we can't at least, if nothing else, give ourselves some play to where maybe we could pull the handle out a little bit and get in behind it and kind of work the surface rust off of here. Alright, so up inside of here, it's got these little 3/8 nuts. See if we can't get these off of here without dropping them down in the door. All right, there's number one. Cool, got them both. All right, let's see if that gets us anywhere. There we go. That's all we needed, just like that. Now I'm gonna get in behind here, I'm gonna sand all of this, get all this surface rust off of here. Now we could go the extra mile and get that off of there, but it's kind of weird up inside of here, I don't know. Let's see, it looks like there's a plug here. That's kind of funny because that's how new cars are. There's a plug here. If I can get it off of there. Hang on, let me go grab a screwdriver. All right, let's see if we can get this plug off of here without tearing it up too bad. There we go. All right. So it looks like we have access to a bolt there. I bet if we pull that bolt out, the rest of this will come out with it. Let's try it out and see. I don't know if we have to pull the whole bolt out or just pull it loose or... I don't know. We might be screwing up, y'all. See what happens. What's the worst that could happen, right? All right, so there's the bolt. Now it seems as though that has let loose. Yeah, check it out, it's coming out now. Just keep from actually letting the door latch for now till we get this all figured out. Somehow this is going to come out of here now, I guess. There we have it. Okay. All right, so to be on the safe side, I always screw all the nuts and bolts back onto the stuff that I pull off. I just think that it's good practice. It only takes a second to do it, but God, it could take forever to find this stuff or to find replacements if you lose it. So anyway, there's that. Oh yeah, we need to, can't lose this. Best place for this is just to put it right back in the friggin' hole. I don't know of a better place to put it than that. So we got the handle out of the way. Let's not slam the door for now. It looks like all we'd have to do to open it is just pull on this though, or push on it, one or the other. So anyway, it should work. Yeah, pull this and the door should open fine. All right, with that out of the way, we could continue on with our sanding. All right, so as you can probably see, I got a little carried away with the sander. I couldn't help myself. All that bad paint's got to come off. I mean, you can see what we're working with here. I mean, that's in bad shape, and it's everywhere. Just large areas that just need to be feathered back. This car really needs to be sandblasted and started over, to be honest with you. It would be the proper way to do it. So I thought I would use this door as a prime example of exactly what to do step by step from start to finish, whether you are feathering back old crappy paint, fixing a dent, removing trim, removing pieces, whatever. But I am going to go ahead and pull this trim off. It comes off pretty simple. I mean, very simple, really. Just want to come through here and just be really careful, okay? And this will come right off of here, no problem at all. Easy, easy. So hard to do one-handed. Let me see if I can hold you and the trim at the same. There we go. We got it. All right. So simple, easy to get off. I'll show you how this works. All right. It's got all these clips that just slide along inside here. That way you can line them up with the holes, no problem. You can see how the way they're shaped to just kind of force its way into the hole, and once it goes in, it'll spring back out, and then that's what holds it on. Very easy to get off. And I was looking this car over, all of this trim, whether it's these pieces here, you know, along the sides, all the way down the sides, all of that trim is held on that way. So it all comes off fairly simple. All right, so now with the trim out of the way, you can kind of feel through here with your fingers. This is super rough right where the trim and the paint meet. I mean, it's really bad through there. There was no way you're going to be able to prep this, because I mean, you'd be prepping right up against the trim. It's just never going to work. It's never going to be right. So the trim has got to get moved. Luckily, all this trim comes off fairly easy, like I'd mentioned. So now we could get in here and sand all this and make it look right. You see what I'm talking about? Look how much nicer that is. You know, everything's feathered back really good. Compare that to this. I mean, which would you rather paint over? You know, you want to paint right up against that trim where it's all crusty and nasty, or you want to get rid of it, feather everything back, make it all nice, and have a nice surface to paint on. All right, so I've sanded out all the imperfections. Over here, down here, we had a lot of cracked paint. Look, you can kind of see it. Hopefully y'all can see that. It's all cracked up in here. That's the way this panel was too. Same thing. So I sanded a lot of that out. Sanded out all the roughness around the trim. Sanded out some chips here and there. This thing is pretty well ready for primer. I've been feeling on it. It doesn't feel like we have any dents or anything like that need to be fixed. So I think a fresh coat of primer will do this panel good. And I think that's really all it'll need, that and some block sanding. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna kind of, you know, finish up around my edges by hand, things like that, and then we'll start wrapping it up. All right, so we're just gonna back tape around the edge here. Pretty simple. Run your tape along the back side here. Like so. And what this is going to do is it's going to make it to where we can shut the door. We can shut the door, right? Like that. And we can come through and stick our paper, plastic, whatever you need, whatever you're going to use. You'll be able to stick it right to the edge and then mask it on back. And basically you'll just have the door by itself ready to paint. Alrighty, so this is what we're working with. We've got everything all masked off around the edges. I think this will work good enough for our primer. And all we did was back tape around all the edges behind the door and then left the sticky surface out for the paper to stick to. Very simple process. So anyway, now we're gonna get it all cleaned up. I got my spray away glass cleaner. I'm gonna wipe the whole surface down with this stuff. This stuff works awesome. Been using this stuff for years. You guys owe me at this point. No, I'm just playing. Anyway, so we're gonna get all that cleaned up and then we're gonna hit it with some Etch primer and then we can move on to our regular primer. Usually the way I do this, I just spray my lint-free towel here. Just like so. And then I fold it over, come over here, kind of hit the surface lightly, and then we come through and we wipe it off, obviously. See how dirty this is. Now remember, we already wiped this all off with the water, got it all clean, and watch how dirty this is gonna be. I mean, that is filthy. So you're gonna wanna flip your rag over and over again as you do this, and probably actually clean this surface several times before you consider it done. All right, wipe number 2. Look at that. All right, so I've got me a tack rag here. Now, the way I do my tack rags, the way I was always taught, is you want to kind of unfold these things out, kind of get them loose, and just let them sit for a little bit. Now, that's the way you do it when you open them out of the package, okay? Because if you don't, they're so sticky that when you go to wipe it onto the surface, some of that sticky residue could stick to your surface and you don't want that. So this one's used. I've already used it before. You can reuse your tack rags. You just store them in a container, an old coffee can, you know, that has the plastic sealable lid, works perfectly to store stuff like this in. This one's good to go. All we got to do is run it over our surface a few times and we'll be ready to hit this up with our primers finally. Now, it's always a good idea to come through and wipe off your paper. I mean, why not? It makes sense. I mean, you're thinking, well, you're not painting that, why do you care? Well, you'll blow the dirt onto your surface, obviously, so got to tack it off as well. Just get around here, get all of this. Stuff like this is a no-no, especially when you're painting, because dust will get in there, overspray, and then you'll be coming back through, you'll be spraying, and you'll blow that out into your surface. You don't want that. This is just a loose masking for primer. I'm not really worried about that. But if I was painting, there's no way I would leave that like that at all. What you'd want to do is you'd want to come smash that down and throw a piece of tape over it so that it looks more like this here, you know. So anyway, come through here, tack everything off, get all up inside of everything. I was always taught to tack kind of slow. They say if you tack too fast, you can stir up static electricity. I don't know if that's all true, but just to be on the safe side, I do kind of go slow. Just kind of rub along the surface here. Remember, you want to start from the top and just kind of work your way down. Flip your rag constantly, just like with the cleaners. Just kind of go through here and get all of the dust off. And remember, like I said, do all of the surrounding paper really lightly. You don't want to mess up your masking. And another trick that you could do, I see guys do this all the time, and when I was in the paint booth, I did as well. I would come in, this is hard to do holding the camera, but I would come in and I would just spray air as I'm tacking. And what that does is as you're kind of loosening up the dirt and debris and whatnot, you're just kind of blowing it away. So anyway, Another little trick. I see guys do it all the time. I use that trick as well a lot of times. So anyway, I think we are tacked off, good to go. Now it is time for our Etch primer, which we have right over here. This is made by Duplicolor and it works very well. So let's get some of this on here. The thing with Etch primer, of course, shake it up just like you would anything else. I've been shaking on this for a few minutes behind the scenes, so we ought to be good to go. The way I do this, bare metal only. Okay, we don't need this on anything but the bare metal. That is about all you want. This is what we in the business would call a piss coat. I'm serious, that's what they called it. Just a very light coat. You're still gonna wanna see through. You know, you don't actually have, we're not looking for coverage here. We just want enough of this on the surface to bite into that bare metal. So something I was always told about Etch primers is that you wanna keep it off of the actual bodywork. So I kind of went around that area there. Looks like we got another bare spot down here we might could hit. These little ones, I mean, you can hit them if you want, but they say if it's no bigger than 1 square inch, don't mess with it. So I think we're good to go on the rest of it. Let's get our regular primer mixed up now. So here's my primer here. Be careful not to spill this on the car. I'm using the car as a workbench, man. These big old cars make great workbenches. Anyway, just some cheap stuff from O'Reilly's. This stuff works fine. This is just a 1K primer. This will spray straight out of the can. I don't have to mix any kind of hardeners or catalyst, anything with it. All I got to do is maybe thin it down just a hair. So this ought to work great. We'll get this on the car here in just a minute after I'm done stirring it up. All right, we're all mixed up. Let's do it. All right, so there's coat number 1. Let's check it out. Man, that is so smooth. Look at that. Nice, so nice. Man, you guys don't know how bad I just want to do the whole car like this. This is what it needs. This is exactly what it needs. It needs the most, if not all, of this old crappy paint knocked off of here. I mean, it's so bad. I mean, good Lord, that is so bad. Yeah, I mean, that's what the whole car needs, you know, and I wanted to kind of do a video on this panel showing you exactly what needs to be done over the whole rest of this thing. All right, so how long do you let it sit before the next coat? Well, you've got to let it do what they call flashing. Flashing is basically where the solvent is escaping out of the surface. If you go and you put another coat on top of this without letting that process take place, chances are it's not going to dry right. It's going to stay kind of gummy and rubbery. Don't want that, that's for sure. Now, I could feel this. I mean, this is absolutely dry. It's only been 10 minutes, maybe. So, you know, I'll give it a few more minutes. Typically, I don't know, 20 minutes. A lot of it depends on the temperature. It's about 85 degrees outside right now. So, you know, this is not going to have a problem drying, curing, or any of that stuff. Flashing, anything, nothing's going to be a problem with it. So, all right, here we go. Coat number 2. I'm doing basically about a 50% overlap. And I'm going kind of slow. You know, I've got my nozzle completely wide open on the trigger, I guess I should say. I've got my trigger wide open. All right, so there's coat number 2. I'm gonna throw one more nice even coat on it, and we're gonna call it good after that. So there's our 3 coats. Now I'm going to go over it with my guide coat. Now you can use anything you want for guide coat. You can use any color you want for guide coat. It doesn't matter. This is just a satin black. I wouldn't use glossy colors. They tend to gum up your sandpapers. So use flat and satin. That's my recommendation. But like I said, any color you want, man. You want to get colorful with it, go for it. Hell, it ain't going to hurt my feelings. All you want to do on your guide coat is just do a very light, just a little powdery coat. That's it. You're not going for coverage. We don't want to paint the door black. You know what I'm saying? All we want to do is this. Look at that. That's it. Now I know you've probably seen cars running around town with this and probably thought, what the hell's going on there, right? And then again, some of you probably know exactly what it is. For those of you that don't know, we use that when we go to block sand. I mean, we're going to hit this up with our blocks and we're going to sand all of the black back off. And here's the thing, if there are any black spots anywhere after going over with your block, then you know those spots are low and that you need to fill those spots with something, whether it be putty or more primer, whatever the case may be. Without the guide coat, you won't know. You won't be able to block out all those waves. You want to get rid of the waves, the ripples, all of that stuff. You've got to prime them. You've got to block them. Sometimes you got to go back and prime them again. That's just the way it is. Some guys, they might block a car 3-4 times before they even start painting. Let's get some of this tape off here. All right, let's try our door handle here. I think all you do is pull up on this lever inside here. There we go. All right. There we go, just like that. All right, so there's that door all nice and done. Man, it's so nice, so much better. I mean, to come over here and rub on this compared to this, and it's like, ow, you mess around and cut yourself on that. It's so bad. Anyway, I'm going to get on out here. Please like, share, subscribe, you guys. I appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget my Instagram. Hey, check out my Facebook, Weird Beard on Facebook. But anyway, for now, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.